Welcome to Mickey, Marvel, and More, Disney news, commentary, and opinion. From theme parks to Thanos and from Skywalker to Skyliner, my family and I will discuss it all. So let's go!
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hello, Mark here, and welcome to another episode of Mickey, Marvel, and More. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your busy day to spend some time with us here. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. If you're a long-time listener, thanks for coming back. And I hope you got the memo that this was going to be a pitch-in because the host could use a snack. In this episode's family chat, we're going to talk about something a little bit different this time. Disney bounding. Have you ever heard of it? Well, I hadn't until a few years ago. Laura's going to join me in the family chat to break it all down and explain it to you. But before we get to that, how about a little news from in and around the Disneyverse?
This Disney DVD is enhanced with Disney's Fast Play. Your movie and a selection of bonus features will begin automatically. To bypass Fast Play, select the main menu button at any time. Fast Play will begin in a moment.
In a surprise move last week, Disney launched a new promotion for Disney+. New and returning subscribers can now sign up for the ad-supported Disney Plus Basic plan for $1.99 a month for the first 3 months. My guess is that's there to soften the blow of the upcoming Disney Plus Basic price hike, because effective October 17th, the Disney Plus Basic is set to increase from $7.99 a month to $9.99 a month. On that same day, they will also be increasing the prices of Disney Plus Premium, as well as Hulu and ESPN Plus. And of course, all of the multi-service bundles that they also have will also be having a price increase. I also imagine it's because Disney wants to add to their Disney Plus subscriber numbers right before the end of the September 2024 quarter. That being said, it's a pretty good deal for those who don't have Disney Plus or maybe unsubscribed recently, because this 3-month deal comes at a time where Disney is just getting ready to launch Inside Out 2, the highest grossing animated movie of all time on Disney Plus on September 25th. Also during the time period of this promotion, Marvel's Agatha All Along will premiere on September 18th. For those that don't know, Agatha All Along is a spin-off from the very popular WandaVision series on Disney Plus. But regardless of the reason behind the promotion, it's a pretty good deal for those that just want to check out what Disney Plus has to offer over a 3-month time period and see if they want to add it to their ever-growing streaming service monthly bill. Cord cutting is definitely not the cost-saving measure that it once was. Our family's monthly streaming service charges can definitely attest to that.
No, I am your father.
Disney legend and amazing Hollywood actor James Earl Jones passed away on September 9th at 93 years old. While Disney fans know him as the voice of the most popular villain of all time, Darth Vader, and the wise and gentle King Mufasa from the Lion King series, he was definitely more than just the voice of those two popular Disney characters. Over his storied career, Mr. Jones won 2 Emmy Awards, 2 Tony Awards, and a Grammy. The only official award he didn't win outright was an Oscar, although back in 2011 he was awarded an honorary Oscar as a Lifetime Achievement Award. While this doesn't officially make him an EGOT winner, I think most people will agree that that's good enough. For those that don't know what an EGOT is, it's an acronym for Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony Award winner. He was also given the award of Disney Legend in 2019 at the D23 Expo. Something for Star Wars fans to know, a few years ago, Mr. Jones gave his permission to Disney to continue to use his voice for Darth Vader through the use of artificial intelligence for as long as they wanted. He always really enjoyed telling the story on talk shows, how he was super amazed that a boy with a pronounced stutter, born in Mississippi, raised by his grandparents on a farm in Michigan, became the voice of the biggest and most famous villain from outer space ever. Rest in peace, James Earl Jones, and thanks for the wonderful memories.
Remember who you are. You are my son and the one true king. Remember who you
We welcome you to the living seas. We welcome you to Seabase Alpha.
And finally today, Walt Disney World announced last week that 1 manatee and 3 dolphins currently living in Epcot's The Seas with Nemo and Friends Pavilion will soon be relocated. Disney said that Lou the manatee will be transferred to another rehabilitation center in Florida. But don't worry, after Lou's departure, another manatee will join Little Joe to provide companionship as part of Disney's continued support for the Manatee Rehabilitation Partnership. In addition to Lou's relocation, the 3 male dolphins that currently call the Living Seas home will be moved to a marine adventure park in Fort Walton Beach. One of the reasons for the dolphins' departure is they're doing some infrastructure work at the Living Seas, and they don't want the dolphins' health to be affected by any of the changes. Also affected by all this work will be the removal of the Dolphins in Depth behind the scenes tour and the Dive Quest experience. At this time, we're unsure if any dolphins will be returning to the Living Seas, but Dive Quest is expected to return sometime in 2025 after all the infrastructure work is completed. As always, if there is any tiny or tiny at heart animal news from Disney theme parks, Mickey, Marvel, and more will always have you covered.
Stop her! Want me to sting her?
Buzz off.
Okay, fine. But remember, be yourself.
With Halloween just around the corner, you might be thinking about Halloween costumes. If you're a Disney fan, you might even be thinking about dressing as your favorite Disney character. Ever thought about dressing like a Disney character in everyday life? Ever heard of Disney bounding? Well, what is Disney bounding? We're going to bring in my wife, Laura, and she's going to tell us all about it. Honey, what is Disney bounding?
Well, let me tell you what Disney bounding is. It's a way of dressing, typically for a visit to a Disney park, but you could also do this in everyday life. But it's a way of dressing that takes inspiration from a favorite Disney character. So, for example, someone who's a fan of Winnie the Pooh might wear a red t-shirt, yellow shorts, and little furry bear ears to reflect Winnie the Pooh's red shirt, yellow body, and his yellow furry ears. Another example might be someone who's a fan of Cinderella. They might wear a light blue dress with a sweetheart neckline, a black ribbon around their neck, and a blue headband in their hair, similar to the way Cinderella dresses with her iconic light blue ball gown.
So I assume if you're going to be Disney bounding as Winnie the Pooh, you do need to wear pants.
Yes, I said yellow shorts. Yellow shorts. Part of the Pooh Disney bounding.
And I guess the same thing would be could be said if you're going to be Disney bound as Donald Duck. You also need to wear pants.
Yes, white pants in that situation. But yes, pants are involved.
And if you're going to Disney bound as classic Mickey, does that mean you can go shirtless?
No. You could wear a black T-shirt, similar to the way Mickey is portrayed. But yes, always with shirt and pants.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is a T-shirt and mouse ears aren't enough to qualify as a bounder.
Right.
That's
right.
what they call themselves, right? Bounders?
They do. Yes, they call themselves bounders. And it has been a thing that I have noticed in the parks in the last, I'd say, 5 years, more so than I ever have previously.
I didn't even know it was a thing until a couple of years ago when you pointed it out to me. And I noticed, I'm like, oh yeah, there are people that are kind of doing, oh, I see that guy. He kind of looks like Aladdin a little bit. He's wearing, a little vest and it's purple, but he's not truly dressed up in costume. It also seems like to me that Disney's embraced this a little bit because over the last 5-6 years, they've been selling those little dresses for women and girls in a lot of their a lot of their more upscale theme park stores that kind of like they embody like Cinderella or they remind you of Agent Carter or Captain Carter, whatever you want to call her, because it's like a 1940s style with the Captain Carter colors. So why do you think people do Disney bounding when they're in the parks?
Well, a couple of reasons. One is it's definitely more comfortable to wear than a full-on costume.
Right.
Because basically you're wearing everyday pieces of clothing. They just happen to be in the color scheme or in the style of something that might remind you of a Disney character. And the other reason is that adults can't wear costumes and in the parks. And
Not full costumes for sure.
that's right. And that was something that I think was made into an actual rule by Disney probably around 5 years ago.
Right.
Which is the time that Disney bounding got to be a lot more popular. So let me tell you specifically what Disney's rules are with respect to adults.
I don't think I've ever heard
and
these specific
costumes.
rules.
So costumes and costume masks may not be worn by guests age 14 or older. So it's fine for kids, but if you are an adult, you can't wear a costume and you can't wear a mask. Now, there are exceptions for certain hard-ticketed events like the Halloween party, and I think there are some things that are allowed for the Christmas party. But since Halloween is coming up and the Christmas parties are happening right now in Disney, did I say Christmas?
Yeah.
Okay, I meant to say Halloween.
Right.
Since the Halloween parties are happening right now, let me tell you what the rules are, because there are even rules for adults and what they can wear costume-wise for the Halloween parties.
Okay.
So certainly they ask for them to be, in good taste and without objectionable material.
Well, I think that goes without saying. Although I think you do need to say it to some people, for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately. So for the Halloween parties, guests 14 of age and older are able to dress in a costume, but they are not allowed to pose for pictures or sign autographs for other guests. And that was one of the big reasons why Disney actually implemented a rule in general prohibiting adults from wearing costumes in the parks, because some of the adult costumes were so good and people's cosplay as various characters was so good that regular guests were asking to get their pictures taken with these people. They were asking to get autographs. I think some people didn't realize that they weren't Disney cast members.
Right.
And as you can imagine, Disney was concerned about this, and they were concerned about people who might not be putting their best Disney foot forward since they were not official Disney cast members, and how they might be behaving or otherwise in front of guests that might not know the difference. So even for Halloween parties, adults that are wearing full cosplay Disney character costumes cannot take pictures with people who are not in their immediate party and can't sign autographs for other people.
Well, sure.
Okay, so here are a few of the other guidelines for costumes that can be worn during the Halloween party.
Okay.
Have to be family friendly. They cannot contain any props or accessories that resemble or could be mistaken for actual weapons. They can't contain any sharp objects, pointed objects, or other material that may accidentally strike another guest. So, layered costumes or costume props that surround the entire body, it says, are strongly discouraged and may be subject to additional security screening.
That surround the entire body. What are they talking about? Like coming in as R2-D2 and you're inside of a can?
Probably. I think they want to make sure that people aren't smuggling in things like weapons or
giant jars of pickles.
I was just going to say giant glass jars of pickles. Got to make sure that none of that contraband is being brought into the park. Costumes can't reach or drag on the ground. So they said the specific example they give is full-length princess dresses. Got to make sure those dresses are up off the ground. Can't touch the ground. Capes can be worn if the length does not go below the waist. So there is a length restriction on capes. Or as Edna Mode would just say, no capes.
No capes. Boy, so I guess, wow, I'm just trying to think of what costumes that would, so if you go as Doctor Strange, you can't wear a cape?
Gotta wear a shorty.
So he's got to wear a shorty cape?
Shorty cape. And then, of course, themed t-shirts, blouses, sweatshirts, and hats are acceptable. Mm-hmm. That's your Disney bounding specific instruction there. And it says acceptable accessories include transparent wings, plastic lightsabers, toy swords, and tutus. Costume headwear may be worn as long as it does not cover the face. And costume masks of any kind may not be worn. So adults can't wear masks even at the Halloween party.
Well, that's interesting because I mean, for several years now, since the opening of the Galaxy's Edge locations in Disneyland and the one in Disney World, they have been selling in one of their shops like full on cosplay stuff. As a matter of fact, and telling a little bit about myself here, I bought a full Jedi robe and tunic and the Jedi belt. And it's interesting that they say plastic lightsaber. Does that mean you can't use the metal hilt lightsabers? That because I see people carrying those around all day long because they've purchased them recently. I guess you can't wear on your belt the metal hilt that you bought in Galaxy's Edge.
I don't know. I mean, I think probably a metal hilt would be okay.
I think they're worried about the blade itself.
I think so. And with the plastic ones that are the toy ones,
Right.
they're retractable.
Right. Well, yeah, and then the ones they sell in the parks, I mean, the lightsabers that are the metal hilts that they sell in the parks have plastic blades. So I guess that counts. It's interesting because, you know, a lot of those Jedi robes drag the ground that they sell. So does that mean you can't wear the stuff that they sell in the parks?
Well, you certainly can't wear the stuff that they sell on a regular park day.
I've seen
because
people
that
wearing
would-
Jedi outfits, though. I wonder how...
because I've seen people wearing Jedi robes over like shorts and a t-shirt.
Oh, sure, I've seen
I don't
that.
think anybody's going to mistake that for, you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi or anything. But
He's wearing jogging shoes.
But I don't think you could wear like a full Jedi costume in the parks. And it sounds like you maybe couldn't even wear it for the Halloween party if the robe drags the ground.
That's really interesting because they also sell, you know, they sell all the pieces to build the Indiana Jones costume now, too. And I know that in Galaxy's Edge and a few of the stores that sell Star Wars merchandise, they also sell Han Solo shirts and vests and the pants with the stripes. And there was the one that sells the stuff from Endor, the Leia jacket, and then the little belt and pants. So it's interesting that they sell all this stuff, but then they don't want you to wear it around. I guess you could wear most of it for the Halloween parties, but I guess no full-length Jedi robes.
Right. You know, it would be really interesting to be the guy whose job it was to monitor people's outfits
Right.
on the way in the park in the morning and determine whether it was a guy who was trying to dress like Indiana Jones or is it just a dude in a leather jacket and fedora who just, you know, was totally clueless about the way he was dressing.
Well,
I don't
guess
know.
I guess that the weapon ban would be okay because that way they wouldn't be able to bring in the bullwhip.
Right.
I guess they could bring in can they not? I guess was it no plastic guns?
I
Or
think
that
it
resembled
said anything
guns?
that resembled an actual weapon.
Okay,
Said anything
so-
that resembles or could be mistaken for an actual weapon.
So you'd be Indy with the bag, and then that would be it.
That's right.
So, do you see any Disney bounding in our future? I know that we've always we like, oh, look at those Disney bounders over there, but I think maybe deep down in your heart, a little bit of you wants to do it.
I don't know. I really enjoy wearing a themed T-shirt that expresses my love for a particular ride or a particular character.
Specifically, if we're in that park that day.
Right, right. I might try Disney bounding at some point. I don't know. I've not really given it any serious consideration. I've certainly looked at by the way, there are a ton of websites and bloggers that are devoted to Disney bounding.
Oh, I know. I've seen some of them.
And in fact, that's where the term was coined many years ago by a blogger who had a website that was devoted to this kind of fashion.
Right.
And, she coined the term Disney bounding. So there are lots of YouTube videos, lots of blogs. So anybody who's interested in seeing more can check it out. I have to say, Disney bounding has been around for so long now that one of the things I'm fascinated by are the people who Disney bound, not just as a favorite Disney character, but something outside the box, like a tribute to a ride. So for example, people who are huge fans of Spaceship Earth and Epcot will wear shirts with that pattern, that iconic geometric silver triangle pattern on a shirt. That would be considered a Disney bound in tribute to a ride, not necessarily to a character. So you can really have some fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, and I also think that, with the modern day availability on the internet of just about any sort of, it used to be as somebody who cosplays once in a while, like I do, it used to be really difficult to get a costume of a particular character made. You could find the information about what parts you needed, but it was much harder to do. But now that places like Disney themselves is selling this merchandise that is 100% realistic looking, and then of course there are websites. If you are a fan of any character, it is not difficult to find a way to make a costume now. So I guess it makes sense that Disney has to have all these rules because they don't want anybody that is acting inappropriately or misbehaving in a park and then think it's a Disney employee.
Right, right. And I mean, I get it. Disney, a lot of these characters are very appealing to children.
Oh, sure.
And you certainly don't want to jeopardize that relationship between your children who are coming to the park and the characters that they, idolize or are fans of. You don't want anything to mess up that relationship. So I totally get the rules, and I think it's appropriate. So I think Disney bounding is a really fun way
to completely get around the costume rules, but still paying tribute to a person, a character, or an attraction that you enjoy. That's kind of neat.
And people love a way to show their fandom.
Sure.
It's a way to show your belonging to a community. So I think this is just another way to do that. So you can keep in mind that Disney bounding is a way to dress when you are bound for Disney.
Oy, that's
where the name came from.
I get it. It wasn't your fault. That joke wasn't your fault. So I guess in preparation for our next trip, I'm going to go to Lowe's and purchase a metal trash can and start spray painting it to look like R2-D2. But I can't wear the helmet. My head has to stick out of the top. So, and then you can come as C-3PO without the head. We'll just spray paint you gold like in James Bond. No?
No.
None of that is, all of that is a no.
Absolutely not.
I think another thing that would prevent me from going full costume or Disney bounding is generally in the summer, I am much better off in a t-shirt and with as little coverage as possible.
Yeah, comfort definitely needs to take a priority when you're in the Disney parks.
All right. Well, I'll see you next time when we're there, and maybe we'll catch some more Disney bounders.
Maybe so.
All right. See you next time. Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of Mickey, Marvel, and More. Before we get out of here today, another big thank you to Laura for helping us break down and discuss Disney bounding in the family chat. Maybe the next time we go on a Disney theme park trip, I will bound as Hercules. Although, with my body type, maybe I should stick to characters like Bing Bong from Inside Out. After listening to the show, be sure to check out the show notes and links to all the stories we talked about today, as well as links to all of our socials. If you feel like you want to add to the conversation, click the link and send us an email to Mickey, Marvel, and More, all one word, @gmail.com. And if we read your email on the show, you will become an official friend of the show. If that happens, you will be 0% closer to becoming an EGOT winner, but you will be on your way. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, my name is Mark, and this has been Mickey, Marvel, and More. If you didn't, my name is Buck, and you just enjoyed a meal from my food truck, Buck's Wiener Wagon, now with 100% less cat and dog. I don't know what's actually in them, but I can tell you it's not that. We'll see you next time.